All right, so today I had the pleasure of sitting down and talking with Alex Hall, who's an inside sales executive for the Tennessee Titans. He's also an alumni of the great University of Alabama, so we got to bond about that as well in the interview. During the interview, we talk about some of his tactics to becoming a fully developed salesperson, what has led to his success with the Titans, and how he used his resume in college and compiled experiences during his time at the Capstone to differentiate himself amongst others when entering the sports industry upon graduation. It's a great interview, and we also discussed the impact that the University of Alabama had on our lives and our careers in sports as well. It's a great conversation. I hope that y'all enjoy as much as we enjoyed having it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. All right, welcome back. We've got another episode of the Air with Brian Gregoire interview series. Today, I've got Alex Hall, who's a distinguished alumni of the University of Alabama. He's an inside sales rep with Tennessee Titans right now, and I'm glad to have him here on the show. Welcome, Alex. How are you today?
Brian, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Always good to chat with another Bama alumni. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Roll Tide. We're starting to become very well represented in the sports space, and I'm happy to see that we're really maximizing our footprints. And it's great to say that you and I are part of that trend. So, glad to have you on here and represent Alex. So give us a little background. What do you do as an inside sales rep for the Titans? Like, what's your day to day?
Yeah, absolutely. My main responsibility is selling a full menu of season tickets for the Titans. That includes our 2 and 4 game flex plans, full season tickets, club suites, box suites, and group tickets.
What would you say is the easiest thing to sell?
For me, I think it's the club suites. I think they have a good mix of affordability and luxury. You have access to our club lounge, but you still have, the cost price point of a normal season ticket.
Yeah, whenever you can sell something with an affordable price point, but you're still getting a lot out of it, like a lot of value, like that's always the easiest. Yeah, that's the one thing in sales is that I've noticed, and I'm sure you can attest to. Like there's some people who get them on the phone and they're ready to buy and they're ready to just buy anything. But there's always that one thing that where where price and value just intersect perfectly, and it's always that's always the easiest thing to sell. So it definitely makes sense. And how does the Titans are our team right now? They're in the rebuilding phase right now. A lot of cap space this year, so that I think they'll be able to make some tangible progress in these years to come. But right now, at the current state of the Titans, sometimes when a team's in a position like that, it's not as easy to sell as if you're as when you're like in the playoffs and that sort of thing. So, how do you approach selling for a team right now that's in the rebuilding phase, and how do you foresee that changing in years to come as the Titans improve?
Yeah, absolutely. You sell on upside. So like kind of like what you alluded to, we have a lot of cap space. So we have the number one draft pick. So being able to fall back on that and really sell, we're this is an investment towards the future. But apart from that, you can also fall back on, it's not just about going to the games. It's about 10 interrupted Sundays with your friends, your family, or clients if you're using it for business needs of 3 hours of uninterrupted FaceTime that it's more about making the memories and the experience than it is about the product on the field. So being able to create more of a big picture than just the current state of the team has really helped me kind of through this season and for the next season as well.
And you're in Nashville. I mean, come on, like
Yeah.
that's enough of a draw in itself. I mean, you just go out, you got a noon game, just go out and hit Broadway afterwards, make a whole weekend out of it. Like that's enough of a selling point in itself. And like at the end of the day, like you say, it really is a whole family experience too. So like regardless of if they're good or not, it's still just it's an opportunity for bonding.
No, absolutely. And good point about Broadway. We're a quarter of a mile away from Broadway over our pedestrian bridge, so makes for a good partnership with us. It's a nice little entertainment district down there.
And Nashville's really nice to walk too. Like there's a lot going on over there on the Nissan Stadium side of things with the entertainment district. And it's it's really easy to walk. Like everything's very navigatable. It's hilly in Nashville. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna
Yeah.
burn calories when you're there, but it's everything is centralized. Everything going on around Nissan Stadium and then Broadway right there. Like it's a good selling point. So leveraging that is very smart, and I'm glad to hear you do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now what when did you? Because you've got a really good resume at Alabama. We'll get into that, everything that you did when you were at the capstone. But when did you first find out that you were passionate about sports and wanted to work in it?
Yeah, so for me, so I'm a military kid. Growing up, moved around a bunch, and how I was always able to find that kind of sense of community was getting involved with, my local youth sports teams. So that was always something big drawing, big formative part of my life. So ever since I was a kid, knew I always wanted to be in and around sports in some capacity. And when I got to college, didn't really know how to get plugged in there, but luckily, lady that me and you both know very well, Dr. Carla Blakey. She was my advisor and immediately got me plugged into all the right stuff and got me to where I am today.
Oh, that's it's all about that momentum too. Like once you get plugged in, obviously, that's you control your own momentum and the opportunities in front of you, but you meet that right person and it makes your life so much easier as far as getting plugged in when it goes to sports. Because I mean, you're right. It's hard, and especially when you're at Alabama, you don't really it's not really advertised when you get there your first year, your freshman year, how to get involved in sports. There's other organizations, but there's so many things there. Like one that I'll unpack with you that you intern with, Crimson Tide Foundation. I didn't even know that was a thing when I first got there. I learned about it after a while. So, you know, shout out Dr. Blakey. I'm sure this won't be the only time that she's mentioned here on this series because she's impacted a lot of people that went through the capstone. But takes people like that helping to guide you.
100%. And she's the one who got me, plugged in with the Crimson Tide Foundation and with the football team in the first place. So truly, none of my career at Alabama would have happened without her. So,
No, it's amazing, and you've got to show your appreciation to people like that. And so how did it? So you went foundation
mhm.
and working with the football team on the recruiting side. Um, and now I know you work with the Braves Foundation for a little bit, and that kind of connects your experience with CTF. But now you're in sales, like as inside sales rep. So how did you chart your course to that? Because it wasn't like the like working in a foundation connects to sales, but that's not like directly linear. Working with the football team too. How'd you get into sales?
Right. So, uh, with being at CTF, I got to see a lot how the revenue generation on the college side works, especially through the private sector. That was something that really enticed me and excited me about the sport industry, getting to create those relationships and making connections with people, through our shared passion for the University of Alabama. And getting to do that was awesome. And then uh, wanted to get into that at the professional level at some capacity. When I get to the Atlanta Braves Foundation, it was still raising money for the Atlanta Braves, for through our shared passion for the Atlanta Braves and for the greater Atlanta community, but it wasn't directly impacting the bottom line of the Atlanta Braves because one, the Atlanta Braves are a publicly traded team, and two, all that money is going directly back into the community. I saw the nonprofit fundraising world in college going directly to the bottom line of the athletic department. So I wanted to be a direct contributor, and that's something that sales affords you at the professional level, either in corporate partnerships or in ticket sales, and kind of your foot in the door into both of those avenues is inside sales and ticket sales. So started looking around for opportunities like that and ended up here in Nashville and have hit the ground running.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's the path too. I think it's interesting too that working with the foundation, can have different definitions depending if you're in the college or the NFL space. And I didn't really think about that before, how it contributes directly to the bottom line in college, but in NFL, MLB, it goes back into the community, which is a great initiative.
Mhm.
But for someone like yourself who wants to directly work with the organization and move up that way, it's important to get plugged in as an inside sales rep. So it's great that you recognize that opportunity and took advantage. And I'm really glad you shared that because I think that's something that could be valuable for the people watching. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Uh, and so you already answered one of the questions I was going to ask. Um, I want to pivot into your internships at Alabama because your resume when it comes to that is really impressive. What was your favorite internship there, and how did your path go from becoming an intern at CTF to then working with the football team? Like, how did you kind of leverage that?
Absolutely. So, started out with CTF in Dr. Blakey's RHM 235 Intro to Sport Management class. Was very vocal in that class, just was out trying to show my passion and I genuinely enjoyed what I was learning, so really wanted to express my opinion. And one day she pulled me aside and she was like, "What do you even really want to do with this degree?" And I was like, "It's a good question. I really don't know." But she was like, "Well, there's actually an opening. This was the second semester of my sophomore year, and she goes, "Well, there's an opening at the Crimson Tide Foundation. I'm happy to set you up with an interview over there and see if you'd be a good fit." I'm like, "Awesome." So go over there, have an interview with the assistant AD for donor relations, Lindsay Blumenthal, and who would be later become my boss. And she was great. And I started there that summer and hit the ground running. But with football, I got started over there also through Dr. Blakey. She with Brandy Lyerly. She was the associate director of football operations for the football team under Coach Saban. I believe she's still there, but she needed just kind of daily volunteers for the Nick Saban football camps doing operations. So I was doing, this was during COVID, so I was doing the laser temperature uh, temp checks. I was setting up tables, filling up water coolers, doing wingspans, height and weight, all that kind of stuff. Just kind of a little operational logistical things. And at the end of it, she goes, what do you want to do? You've been putting in good work here. You're always attentive. You're always asking to go, do the extra thing. What do you think you want to do with this? And I said, really, to get on the player evaluation side of things would be awesome. And she goes, well, Daniel Bush oversees our player personnel here. I'd be happy to set you up with a chat with him and see if he has any spots for next year because he has a decent amount of turnover because he keeps a good amount of seniors on roster every year with his personnel guys. So a couple weeks later, hop on a Zoom with Daniel Bush, Director of Player Personnel at Alabama. Tell him I want to learn more about player evaluation and player personnel. He goes, awesome. We'll come in, we'll start training you. And when some of my guys graduate and move on, find other jobs during this hiring cycle, because we have pretty good placement with NFL teams or in other college organizations that need player personnel analysts. So usually replacing five, six guys every year. And I'll be happy to plug you in if you're willing to put in the work. And I was like, willing to put in the work. And it was awesome. I was just primarily tasked with cutting up film. I would definitely say football was my favorite just because of the access I got. Um, just because I saw Coach Saban every day. He only talked to me once for the record, but I saw him every day. So that was just like a surreal moment. But working at CTF was definitely more formative. I definitely saw myself doing that more. Truthfully, I think I fought a little bit of imposter syndrome working for football a little bit because some of those guys, grew up playing football or, knew football like the back of their hand. And I feel like I know a good bit about football, but definitely not as much as some of those guys in that building. So, definitely felt I was more comfortable and more adept or more equipped to work in a place like CTF.
No, like it definitely is. Like I work with the football program too in player development, and it was I can definitely relate to that. Like you're around people that like it's been their entire life, and you're kind of just like, yeah, what do I know? Who are these guys? Like, what do I know? I've only been with this program for 2 months, but it's an opportunity to meet so many people when you're in there and really see how it works under the hood and the connections that you get there, they last a lifetime. And so, no, it's
Absolutely.
that's awesome that you were able to get that experience. And just from what you were describing, the one common theme that I was able to derive was that you distinguished yourself with your hard work, your attention to detail, and asking questions. And that's a huge testament to you and where you're at now, because there's a lot of people out there who don't want to ask questions, or who don't want to put that extra hour in. And so, you recognize the opportunity, and you use that to your advantage, and you make yourself stand out by doing that. So that's a question that I'll add on here is, where'd you kind of find that courage to go outside of your comfort zone and ask questions all the time?
Yeah, so for me, I've always been a very inquisitive person. That courage wasn't always there. I grew up with a big stutter, a speech impediment growing up, and used to not really want to talk that much. And then uh, went to speech therapy for 6 years, and now I don't shut up sometimes. So definitely was a full circle moment for me, and realizing that they're just people too, no matter what their title is. No, just having the humility to not feel dumb for asking a question, because those people have all been in your shoes before. They've been the intern, they've been the volunteer, just trying to get their foot in the door once too. So, you realize that you're both there for a reason, trying to get the work done, and people that are your superior would more often than not have more respect for you for asking the questions to ensure that you do it right to their standard than not and going rogue on your own and maybe not getting it up to their quality that they're looking for. So
No, you want to know what people are looking for. I mean, there's no way that you can produce effectively without knowing what somebody wants, what your boss wants, somebody in the organization wants. It's important to be inquisitive and ask those questions. So, and that really sets you apart, because when they're communicating with you more often than they are with other people in the organization, they're more likely to remember you. And that's how you get promotions, that's how you get different positions. And so, you really differentiate yourself doing that. If there's if there's one from your career path these past several years, what advice would you give to people who are in college right now to make the most out of their experience?
yeah, so get plugged in with your athletic department any way that you can. There's there if you go to even a small Division 3 school, there's always a need for more bodies, more hands at athletic functions, whether it's games, fundraising events, et cetera, et cetera. There's always a need, whether you think so or not. So have the courage to speak up and ask for more opportunities, because there's always going to be people that are going to be happy to give you those opportunities. And have fun with it. It's working in sports is a fun industry, and it's exciting, and you got to really embrace that and love it, to be in it and maximize your time.
Yeah, I mean it's and that's really great advice too. It's there's so many different avenues to get plugged in at. Like there wherever you go, it's everywhere. You got to do the digging, you've got to do the networking part of it, but there's just so much out there. And if you want to work in it, you got to put the legwork in, and your opportunity will eventually come. Um, and then another question to follow that up with is, and when it comes to a sales role, what has led to your success in that role? Like, what's been your approach?
Yeah, so for me, hitting the ground running, having the product to fall back on, really knowing the product inside and out. So I could, rattle off. We have 18 different price points here with the Titans. Being able to associate, where each one is on the back, like the back of my hand, was, paramount to my success at first. That way I could, because your time's of the essence when you're on the phone talking to people, and those sometimes people don't have all day. So really being able to rattle off the options the quickest, and also just kind of going back to having fun with it, being yourself on the phone. People, this is what we were taught and trained. People buy from people that they like. So even if you're talking to this person for the first time on the phone, just now reaching out to them, be interested in them, and actually, t ask them why they're interested in the team, how long they've been a fan. Actually, do more than just trying to sell to them. Try to build a little bit more of a consultative relationship with them. I think has contributed to my success.
Yeah, that the consultant's approach is huge, asking them actually what they want, and then you meet them where they are. It's that's huge, and that makes them like you more. And like you said, when somebody likes you, they're more likely to buy from you. I like to crack jokes a lot. Like that's my thing. I like to be a funny person, and so anybody's ever been around me, been in class with me, hung out with me, they know I like to crack jokes, and so that's how I am on the phone too. You just gotta you gotta find your thing. You gotta find what works, and then you get into that rhythm.
Exactly, man. You a dad joke guy?
If it's the day, if it's a
Yeah.
maybe if it's a Tuesday, it's dad jokes. It all it if it's a Thursday, it's more just like direct jokes. It really depends on the person on the phone and their taste. Like I can really kind of detect that within the first minute and a half, what kind of person they are and what approach, what joke is gonna land with them, if a joke will land with them. Sometimes with people that are just straight to the point, and then I'm like, like here's the packages, here's all the information you need. I'll email it to you too,
Right.
and get back to me if you want to make a decision. There's some
Yeah.
people you gotta be like that with.
Yeah. Nice. I'm a dad joke aficionado. And with the Braves, I used to have to put a dad joke at the bottom of all my emails. Some of my directors wanted to read dad jokes because I have to do a daily entertainment report
Yeah, yeah.
uh, with all the foundation fulfillments for each home game, and they wanted to have a dad joke tree at the bottom. So I became a czar of dad jokes.
I give me one right now. I want to hear it.
Okay. So if you say you're at the Apple store, right, and there's a robbery that goes down while you're there, what does that make you?
There's a robbery that goes down at the Apple store. The worm.
You're an eyewitness.
That's a good one. I see what you did there.
There
That's
we
good.
go.
Whenever I drop a dad joke, that's always what I say. You
Yeah.
see what I did
See what I did
there?
there? Yeah.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
gotta make sure people see the play on words.
Exactly. Yeah. That's one of my go-tos there.
I love that. That's a solid joke. So what one last thing, we'll end it off here. One last thing. Um, the Love You Blue shirt. Give me the
Yeah.
the backstory behind that, because that's huge when it comes to the Titans brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Love You Blue, it is a homage to our heritage as the Houston Oilers. Before we moved to Nashville in 1999, we were the Houston Oilers. So, just a homage to a saying that our old owner, Bud Adams, used to say all the time. And it's our official color whenever we break out our Love You Blue Houston Oiler throwbacks once a year. So, it's good homage to that. Is also one of my favorite sweatshirts. So love breaking it out.
I love that color scheme, and I love when the Titans break it out. Texans fans don't, but I do. I enjoy it. It's a great uniform scheme. But I appreciate you coming on here, Alex. That's I love having an Alabama guy on here. To promote how much we get people in sports, and so. Maybe that's another last thing that you can leave us with is what was the impact that Alabama had on your career in sports? I forgot to ask that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alabama was instrumental in my development as a not only a professional but specifically a sports professional. I mean, when you talk about the pinnacle of college athletics, it's the University of Alabama, one of the top, revenue generating institutions in the country when it comes to athletic departments, championship standard across all sports, and unlimited amount of opportunity to plug yourself in and have a prestigious college brand on your resume that really sticks out to both pro and college employers upon your graduation with their degrees.
It differentiates. I mean, you learn the value of hard work there, whatever department you're working in, and then there's nothing that differentiates you that script A in the University of Alabama on the resume, and of course the people you met there. That's huge as well. Building the network at Alabama is so important. It can take you a long way. But I want to ask that question. It was great to have you on, Alex. You were great. Gave a lot of awesome answers to the questions on here, and I'm sure that anybody watching this video who wants to work in sports, I'm sure they'll get a lot of value out of it.
I hope so. Hey, thanks for having me. This has been awesome. And hey, have a good one.
Absolutely, yes. Go Titans.
Hey, tighten up.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.